What's up, Eagles Nation? Welcome to week 3 of the NFL season. This crazy season that it's been so far. Um, of course, not off to the greatest of starts, 0 and 2. Coming into this week's play against the Cincinnati Bengals are the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's been rough. It's been really 6 out of 8 quarters of torture so far in the season. Where both the defense and offense has not looked good. Defense is giving up way too many touchdowns, not just points, but touchdowns. And the offense is still trying to find a rhythm after the first, quarter and a half against the Washington football team in week 1. We all know it's been a struggle. We all know it's been tough. There really hasn't been any answers for this. I don't like what Doug Peterson said this week about how the offseason, the craziness of the offseason has really interfered, with what the Eagles wanted to do offensively this season for the simple fact that, look, you've been a coach in this league for 5 years. You're with this quarterback for 5 years. The quarterback should know this offense. And I understand that, Carson Wentz has had times of injury where he hasn't been on the field. But I'm looking around, the highlights or watching other games in the season, and I'm seeing all these other offenses, including the one that beat the Eagles a week ago in the LA Rams. I'm seeing all these other offenses having success. I'm seeing Russell Wilson passing 9 touchdown passes in the first 2 weeks, 5 touchdowns a week ago against a good defense in the Patriots in a win. Uh, Even the Patriots, Cam Newton's looked really good there, and it's the first year he's been on the team. The Rams, obviously, what they've been doing. The Cardinals have been putting up a ton of points, which, by the way, the Eagles should have traded for DeAndre Hopkins, but that's this fan's view. But all of these other offenses have looked good. And the Eagles' offense has looked like it can't get out of its own way. And, people say, oh, it's like the preseason. This is like the preseason, the first few games. I just don't buy into that. I just think it's unacceptable. I think it's unacceptable. And for a team that won as many games as it has won over the recent years, winning, in the playoffs, winning a Super Bowl, going to, you know, winning big games, being in those big game type of environment. I don't understand why this team, that a lot of the pieces have been together for years. I know there's rookies, but a lot of the players have been on this team for a number of years, and they have just it's unacceptable how this team is played. And I don't really look at the Washington football team and the LA Rams defenses as these you can't do anything against defenses, because last week we saw the Cardinals have a lot of success against the Washington football team defense. We saw the Eagles in the first half of that game have success against that defense. Dallas, I know, didn't beat the Rams, but they were moving the ball at least on that defense and having a little bit of success. Um, so again, here are the Eagles' offense through the first 2 weeks, and it's in my eyes been one of the worst offenses in the league. And that might be putting it lightly. I mean, they have looked like a hot mess um, for most of these games. And I understand getting Miles Sanders back is a positive, and he played well a week ago. Uh, that fumble on the first drive was standing. And I believe he's going to have a really solid year. And I think he's going to have to, because the receiving core on this team is just not good enough. I look at the receivers. Deshaun Jackson is a veteran, but he gets hurt a lot. And they're using him in this pitch count scenario. Jay Jaw just has not been good. That was a horrendous pick. Could have and should have drafted Metcalf. I don't watch a lot of college football. I don't watch like every game. I can't really say that I'm a college football expert. I like the Florida Gators. I watch their games when they're on TV and whatnot. Some other teams, maybe some big games. I'll get into the playoffs, and stuff like that. Or if there's just a big game, must watch game. So I can't say like I'm a scout or anything like that. I don't watch a lot of film on the internet or whatever. But even as a novice, I'm sitting there in that draft and I'm looking at these highlights of Metcalf and I'm going, that's the guy the Eagles should draft. Get Metcalf. And they go get J-Jaw. And we all see how that's worked out. To the point where I heard a stat where Metcalf scored his 10th touchdown a week ago against the Patriots, and J-Jaw has 10 career receptions. Again, it's a complete picture here. There has been problems with this offense, but there's also been problems with the front office getting the weapons for Carson Wentz, getting those receivers, drafting Metcalf, making the trade for DeAndre Hopkins, or going out and making a trade for another, receiver who could help this team. It's like they got gun shy after that trade they made a few years ago. I don't know why I'm blanking on the guy's name right now. The receiver out of Detroit. And it's like that didn't exactly work out the way they had hoped. And it's like they're not going to make a move for any other receiver, since that via trade. And I understand there's cap issues. I get all that. But when there are players that could help this team, help this franchise, help this quarterback, you do what you have to do to make the moves, even knowing that there is a possibility. And it's more important to make that move knowing that there's a possibility you might lose Ertz in a year or so. And there's no guarantee at what tight end they're going to get outside of Dallas Goedert if they lose Ertz. So, I mean, it made going out and making the move for DeAndre Hopkins, I felt that much more important. But they didn't see it that way. They let the Cardinals get him. Okay, see how well it's working out there. I don't know. I mean, again, I look at this receiving core, and like I said, Djax hurt, J-Jaw, Westbrook's a rookie. Rieger, of course, is now hurt, going to miss some time with the thumb injury, but he's a rookie. And I understand that a lot of this offense kind of revolves around a two tight end set, with the 11-man personnel or whatever, with Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. But outside of that, I mean, I look at these receivers and I just don't. I just look at them and I just say this is just not good enough. When I'm seeing other teams have success at the wide receiver position, I mean, look, not for nothing, Seattle. It's like every time they have a chance to go from one good receiver to another good receiver, they do it and they help their quarterback, their franchise quarterback, and Russell Wilson. And we can split hairs. They never had the great tight end. The running game has been solid, but still, even with the injuries and whatnot and what have you, the offensive line might not be the greatest in Seattle, and Russ makes a lot of plays with his feet. Well, I mean, Carson can move. It's like they don't want him to move. They want to keep him in the pocket, and for whatever reason, Carson's has this mindset where I can't move. I have to be a pocket passer now. I mean, look, Carson, you're not Tom Brady. I mean, you are mobile, with all due respect to the GOAT. You are mobile. You can move and keep plays alive with your feet every now and then. It wouldn't, hurt you. Well, I know he's getting hurt, but so careful what you say. I know, but it wouldn't hurt to roll out every once in a while. Make things happen. We saw a week ago, didn't we? I know I touched on this after the loss to the Rams, but we saw Jared Goff just about every play roll out. Make things happen with his feet. And he's not an overly mobile quarterback, but he was extending plays. He was making things happen, and they were, calling those plays. McVay was with the play calling, with the misdirections, with this and that. There's creativity in that offense. I'm looking at Seattle, creativity in that offense. I'm looking at other teams, creativity. I'm looking at the Eagles, and it's like station to station. There's no creativity whatsoever, and there are some playmakers on this offense. I talked about like Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert, I believe, could be a playmaker. Deshaun Jackson, Rieger when he was on the field. Go deep every once in a while. It's just like I'm looking at this offense. I'm almost falling asleep watching it. And I'm not saying that, the greatest offenses in the league is always going to win, because it doesn't always work that way. You need both sides of the ball to be productive. Like I said before, the Chiefs wouldn't have won last year, as great as an offense as that was. And it was, a spectacular offense, obviously, with Patrick Mahomes and company there and all those playmakers that they have. But if that defense didn't come together last season into the playoff run, they wouldn't have, they wouldn't have won. You see how explosive Baltimore's offense was a season ago. They lost in the playoffs. So it's not always that, oh, you just have to have this great offense and that's just going to carry you, because it doesn't always work that way. I've watched enough football to know that. I've seen some amazing offenses not even go to a Super Bowl, like that 98 Vikings team. I mean, you talk about one of the all-time great offenses in the history of the league for a season, and they couldn't get past the Falcons in the NFC title game. And I think that was a real shame, because that Super Bowl with them and the Broncos would have been much better than the Dirty Birds in there getting smoked. But again, it doesn't mean it. But long story short, and I know it's usually a long story with me, but long story short, you still need to have some weapons on this offense, and it's just not good enough. They don't draft well enough, and then they go out and they draft Jalen Hurts in the second round when they had other needs on the defensive side of the ball. And now I go back to Carson. And again, I have stated this before. Excuse me. I'm a Carson believer. I've stuck to the guy since he was drafted. I believe that he could be the franchise quarterback, maybe one of the great quarterbacks in the history of the franchise. I still believe in him, but he's got to be better. He's got to be better. And I don't know what it is, if it's in his head, if it's, oh, they drafted Jalen Hurts and he's going to, feel a certain way, so now he's playing the way he is. And if that's the case, he's got to man up. Because I have seen quarterbacks take that drafting of their replacement down the road as this, war cry, that they're going to show everyone that they still belong on this team, that they are still elite in the league. I saw, and I know, look, it's two examples from the same team, but I saw Brett Favre do it with the Packers, and we've all seen Aaron Rodgers do it. Every time the Packers draft another quarterback, Aaron Rodgers goes out and proves that he's still, discount double check, okay? That he still wears the belt, okay? And he's gone off and had a fantastic season so far this year, even though the Packers drafted a quarterback. It's that mindset, it's that mentality that, look, I'm the alpha. I'm the alpha still. You talk about the pack of wolves. Wolves are some of my favorite animals, right? All due respect to Festive and the Foxes. But the Wolves have that alpha male there, right? The leader. And if you want to take over that alpha male spot, you got to beat the leader, okay? It's that same mentality that I'm seeing from some of these other quarterbacks. Teams draft replacements. It happens. You're not going to be the starting quarterback forever on a team. Even Tom Brady gets traded, away from New England, or not gets traded, but is allowed to go elsewhere from the Patriots. It's very rare that a quarterback stays with one team his whole career. But with that said, when that franchise drafts the replacement down the road, you're either going to go one of two ways. You're either going to wilt in the situation and say, okay, they don't believe me anymore, so what the hell, I'll just, run out the string and, that's it. I just don't belong. Or you're going to take that as a challenge, and you're going to step up to the challenge. And I've seen other quarterbacks do it, and I want to see that in number 11. I want to see that fire in Carson. And it's got to start this week against the Bengals. It's just not been good enough. And I know that the receiver position is what it is. There's nothing anyone can do about it. Okay, at this point, barring a trade and knowing how Howie has been gun-shy in the previous, recent seasons, I don't see them making any moves at the trade deadline, because Howie's been asleep at the wheel for long enough, You can't really expect. There's been talk about, Robinson from the Bears and, maybe they can get this guy or that guy. Howie's not going to do a damn thing. I think if we've learned one thing in recent years, it's Howie is just all about the draft, even though they don't draft well. He's all about the draft. He's not going to give up the precious picks to get players who could be impactful on this franchise, on this roster, helping the offense or defense. He's not going to do it. Too worried about the cap, too worried about draft picks. So I can't sit here today on, September 26th, 2020, and say, oh, well, it's okay, we'll be okay, Howie will make moves, because Trader Howie is done. That aggressive Trader Howie that helped them win a Super Bowl, that Howie kind of went back in the closet. he's just asleep at the wheel. But all that being said, look, Carson's got to play better. Doug Peterson's got to be better. They both have to be better. Because Right now, it's looking awful, and there's really nothing that could tell you besides past history that things are going to get better. And you look at the schedule coming up. It's a rough schedule. It really is. I mean, the Bengals. The Bengals not for nothing. They can move the ball. I mean, they're not this inept team that's going to be just a pushover. I can't see the Eagles playing anyone now and it be a pushover. I mean, even the Giants games are probably going to be battles. Even though Saquon's now out for the season and everything, right? Because the Eagles' defense is not very good right now, and the Eagles' offense is not very good right now. Is it correctable? Sure. I mean, are there players on this team that can step up? Sure. We've seen it in the past. We know what they're capable of doing. They got to do it. And it's got to start this week against the Bengals. Look, then you're going out to San Francisco, and even though the 49ers have all these injuries, they're still going to be a tough team. They're a team that still feels that they have a shot, and they were in the Super Bowl a year ago, so they're not pitching tents at this point because they have a few guys out. And then after that, what do you got? The at Pittsburgh, and then you got Baltimore after that. I mean, again, right now, sitting as we sit today, it's not looking good. I mean, this team could be a 1-5 or a 2-4 team after that stretch. And it won't be good enough, and you can't just rely on saying, oh well, we're in a bad division, we can make it up. Wait till that stretch, and November, December, we'll make it up then, because you can't depend on that. For all we know, Dallas could use that incredible collapse by the Falcons a week ago as a springboard for them, and they could roll off some wins. I think they'll lose this week to Seattle, but they could roll off some wins. You just never know. So you can't just depend on the division. No, forget the division. This is a better team than what they've showed us in the first 2 weeks. At least I would hope so. And I'm tired of the excuses. That's the one thing in this town, in this city, that I'm really sick of. The excuses. Excuse. The Flyers, I think they're on the right path. But you look at what the Sixers are doing, the absolute mess that the Phillies have in that bullpen, and excuse after excuse. Well, it was this season. Excuses. I don't want to hear it. In a season when you had 8 teams from the conference from the league making the playoffs, and you can't beat out teams like the Marlins or the Gabe Kapler-led Giants might be in the playoffs. Are you kidding me? It's unacceptable. It's excuses. And that's all I'm hearing in this town with these sports teams. And it drives us nuts. People say, why are the Philly sports fans always so, down and boo and this and that? Well, look at the teams. Look at what we have to put up with. Since the frickin' we've gone into this bubble mentality now with these sports, and they reopen sports, what exactly have we had to look to be positive for, besides maybe the Flyers showing us a little something, even though they lost in Game 7 against the Islanders? All these teams have been a joke since that. An absolute joke. We can't go to games, and shout out to the Fandemic group that went to all those Phillies games outside the stadium. You want to talk about how bad the Philly fans are, you look at something like that. I mean, where else are you going to see that type of positivity, those fans out there rooting for the team? Even though the stadium's closed, they're making their voices heard with air horns. You don't have that anywhere else. That's why this is a unique sports town. And I know we get rolled on all the time by all these other people and all these other outsiders telling us who we are and what we are. But again, I mean, these teams, for the most part, let us down. It's hard to be positive when all you see is negative on the field or on the ice or on the court. It's hard. I think it would be hard for any fan base in any city to be positive when you have things like this. But I digress from that. I don't want to go on a 40, 50-minute tangent. It has to be better. And the excuses have to stop. Again, you're not a rookie head coach out there, Doug. These excuses about, well, we had this offseason with the, Banda. Every team has had it. And I'm seeing few teams that have struggled out of the gate as much as like the Eagles have. Few teams. And some teams, maybe you can use an excuse. Rookie quarterback, rookie head coach, not being able to get all the game plan in on time. If that was the case, I could see that. If we came into this season and Carson Wentz was a rookie and Doug Peterson, it was his rookie season as a head coach, and they're 0-2 and the offense is looking the way it is, I'm not going to be happy about it, but I can in a way understand why. But the fact of the matter is, both of them have been in the league. This is their 5th season, and it should not be this way. They should not look as bad as they have looked, particularly the quarterback. And I got to see more out of the coach. I got to see more creativity out of the coach with this offense. Because, it's easy to stop. Defenses come in and it's laughable. They know exactly what the Eagles are going to do before they do it, and they are able to control the game. And Carson Wentz making those mistakes, again, he's not a turnover machine. I know he puts the ball on the carpet every now and then. He holds the ball too long and whatnot. But in his career, he has not been a big interception quarterback. And through the first 2 weeks, what does he have, 4 of them? 2 a game? That's just not good enough. He's got to be better. And the decision-making has to be better. He can't try to fit a ball in double coverage with a wide receiver who can hardly catch a cold. Has to be better, and I hope it's better starting tomorrow, and we'll see. I'm not saying it's a rollover game. I'm not. I know some people on the radio, some of the prognosticators, like, oh, well, it's like the last stand. It's like, well, they know they have to be better, so they're going to be better. They're going to be winning by 20-plus points. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a close game because, again, this defense hasn't showed me they can stop anybody besides most of the first half against Washington. And look, the Rams offense is better than the Bengals offense. But the Bengals offense has some players. You look at Mixon, you look at A.J. Green, you look at the receiving core that they have athletic receivers that make a play on the ball when it's in the air. That would be nice to have. And for what it's worth, Joe Burrow is a pretty darn good quarterback. And yeah, he's still learning on the job. But I've seen him make plays. I've seen our quarterback throw interceptions. And again, I'm trying to believe in Carson. I'm not, saying I'll put Jalen Hurts in there because that doesn't solve anything. This is not the season for Jalen Hurts. Carson Wentz has to be the man. And he's got to play better. I've seen him play better. I know what he's capable of, and he's got to do better. The decision-making has to be better. The offensive line's starting to come around. They had a much better game a week ago. Certainly, it would be hard to have as poor a game as they had in week 1 against Washington. So they did play better last week. Getting Lane Johnson back, adding some solidity to the O-line helped. But, again, the quarterback has to be better. I expect Miles Sanders to be good. That aspect of the game, the Bengals aren't a very good run-stopping defense. I expect Miles Sanders and Boston Scott, whoever gets the ball, to be able to make some plays, but it's got to be the quarterback. This offense revolves around number 11, and they're going to go as he goes. If he's having a good game, they're going to have a good game. If he's having a piss-poor game like a week ago against the Rams, they're going to have a bad game, and it's not going to look good, and it's going to be ugly, and they're going to get beat. Because, again, I can't depend on the defense. Depending on the Eagles' defense right now is like depending on the Phillies' bullpen to hold a lead. At this point, I don't believe in it. And there are guys on this defense that I still like. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Slay. I like those guys. But it's just not been good enough. They're not getting any turnovers. This defense through 2 weeks has no turnovers. And I know Jim Schwartz addressed it in his conference this week and whatnot. The only turnover this team has, I believe, is a fumble. Last week was the Cooper Kupp fumble on special teams, right? They got a turnover on special teams. This defense doesn't have any turnovers at all created. No fumbles, no interceptions. So hopefully they can get a couple of those this week. Again, Joe Burrow, I believe, will be a good quarterback in this league, but you are playing a rookie quarterback. Get some pressure on him. Let him throw some interceptions. And damn it, rally around the ball when it's on the ground. I remember week 1 against Washington when there were fumbles to be had. There was like 2 Eagles there and one Washington football team player, and the Washington football team player was able to get to the ball. It's like the Eagles defenders kind of looked like those Falcons looking at the ball last week on the onside kick. Go for the ball. Be aggressive. Yeah. So, what do I think about this game? You know what? I say it because as a fan, I hope it. It's got to be a win, right? It's got to be a win. As bad as the Eagles looked, you are a better team than the Bengals. And I know the home field advantage means nothing anymore. The piped in sound, the boos or whatever. Whatever it is, it's not the same. But you're a better team than the Bengals. Both teams are 0-2 right now. The Bengals have actually been a better 0-2 team than the Eagles have. But the Eagles are a better team. You got to win this game. You got to find a way to get a win, even if it's on a Jake Elliott field goal in overtime or something. Whatever. Just find a way to get the win and get a win in the win column, and then you move on. We worry about San Francisco next week and what could happen in that game and who will be playing for San Francisco that week. It's amazing, both teams with the injuries, right? It's like the IR squad's going at it next week. But I know the first 2 weeks have been rough, and I hope to God it's not 3 in a row and a loss to the Bengals and 0-3 and oh God, and then looking at the schedule ahead, I mean, I don't know where there could be a win. To be honest, maybe one of the Giants games, I have no idea after that. But we take it week by week, and that's all we can do. You know, you can't look too far ahead because you don't know what those teams are going to be. This has been a weird season where there's been a ton of injuries and a ton of just weird things that have gone on, as we kind of expected going into this season. So, you worry about that opponent when you're playing that opponent. Just worry about who's in front of you. And as Belichick once said, it's on the Cincinnati. Well, they're not playing, and since it's on the Cincinnati, we're playing the Bengals right now. That's what it is. So hopefully we get a win. I'm predicting a win, a close win. I hope Carson plays better. I hope Doug coaches better. I hope the defense plays better, maybe get some turnovers. That would be nice. And, get a win, man. Because I know we need a win in this city right now, right? The Phillies have been disappointing. Obviously coming off the heels of that horrific Sixers season. The Flyers gave us something at least, but we need a win. We need a W in this town, right? We need a W. So anyhow, let's go ahead to the last segment of this video. It is the weekly Festive 4. So Festive, look, unlike the Eagles, Festive showed up last week. They ain't Festive, huh? Look at Festive. Standing up proud like, look at Festive knows. Festive went 4-0 a week ago for those of you paying attention at home. Because Green Bay, Tennessee, Arizona, and Pittsburgh all won. So Festive was 4-0 a week ago, and the record for Festive so far is 5-3 on the season. Festive's looking to continue the winning ways, and here is the Festive 4 for Week 3 of the NFL. Festive, doesn't believe. Look, if Dallas kicks an onside kick this week, Festive does believe Seattle, unlike Atlanta, will cover the ball. So Festive likes Seattle against Dallas this week in Seattle. Festive, you know what? Buffalo's looked really good, and Festive believes in that. The Rams are 2-0. The Bills are 2-0. Battle of two 2-0 teams. But Festive is going with the Buffalo Bills, circling the wagons and giving the Rams their first loss of the season in Buffalo. Indianapolis and the Jets. Festive's going with Indianapolis. Festive believes that the Jets will continue to be winless so far. Then the other team in LA, the LA Chargers in Carolina. You know, the injury to McCaffrey, that's a big injury to Carolina. And they haven't played very good so far this season. Festive likes those Chargers to get the win this week against the Carolina Kitty Cats. So in recap here, Festive likes Seattle over Dallas, Buffalo over the Los Angeles Rams, Indianapolis over the Jets, and the LA Chargers to beat Carolina. That's the Festive 4 for Week 3 of the NFL. And yes, Festive wants to show the hat, the sneaky blinders from Noble North. Festive's quite fond of this hat. And we finished the video with this. We don't want Festive looking like that after the Eagles game, okay? This week. So as I say after every video here in the Season of the Fan series for the Philadelphia Eagles, let's go Birds! Please, let's get a win this week. Don't want to have another tough week and another tough video after that. We need a W. Come on, Eagles. We need a W. Give us a W. Okay, everyone. Well, let's see what happens. And I'll be back at some point after the game to give a little recap. And hopefully talking about a victory. Hopefully talking about a victory. Oh, God. If they lose this week. Oh. That would not be good. It hasn't been good so far, but that would not be good. All right, everyone. Take care. Have a good rest of the weekend. Enjoy the games tomorrow. Go Birds. See you after the game.